on the arc that had a very dark black cover on it. This is actually going to be the cover of David's book. So he was able to give us copies of this, so we had a little bit better idea. My name is Stephanie Steinley. I am the owner at Harveysville Books. And I'll let everyone else introduce themselves.
Hi, I'm Amanda Zern. I'm the assistant manager at Bethany Beach Books.
Mary Ann Donahue,
Kathleen Millard, General Manager of O Stewart Books, UK, Connecticut.
And that's a personal.
David.
One of the things that we started with when we were met at our table last night was asking David what he would like to do, what he would like to see at an event. And pretty authoritatively, he let us know that he really didn't want to do the traditional signing. He wanted to kind of avoid that, maybe do something different. So as we brainstormed, we did everything, including going on to Google on the phone and looking up to find President Wilson impersonators to see anybody that might bring in historical content to the event. And while we passed on that idea, it was amazing to find out how many people make their living as impersonating President Wilson. So, but what we thought of kind of collaboratively came up with was this idea of launching an author's luncheon series, of which David would be our inaugural speaker. And what we wanted to try to do was to duplicate the experience that we as booksellers have by getting a very intimate hour or 2 hours with an author. The book itself, if you remember from the discussion last night, is a literary historical thriller that takes really 3 different storylines that all culminate at the Paris peace talks, having to do with President Wilson, having to do with a little bit about his counterpart, the professional baseball player, and then of course the use of Dulles and his possible conspiracy in getting the Germans to agree to the peace talks in the first place. So what we thought we would do is really have David be able to meet and move around in a kind of movable feast atmosphere, and capitalize on the idea that we were going to be spending 2 hours in historical France. So we thought of a venue being either a French restaurant that we would be able to use, or a restaurant who would be willing to create a menu for us that would mimic a French restaurant. It would be a ticketed event that would include not only the book and the lunch, but the afternoon with the author. And then, of course, David would move tables. He would change from table to table and really get a chance to talk to people, market the book as more than just a thriller, but really a historical thriller that has all deep, rich characters in it, including people like Lawrence of Arabia. So by doing that, we also kind of came up with the idea that this would be something we do on Sunday afternoons, and we'd have little giveaways that would encourage people to really get involved in the book. We might get a couple of DVDs of Lawrence of Arabia, the movie, give them away as door prizes and things like that. Possibly work with a local winery that would supply us with some French wines that we would be able to give away as well. We were also sure to be able to make sure that while this is the second book in a series, it is a standalone. And what we would do, however, is make sure that at the purchase of your ticket, there was an opportunity for you to also purchase the first book. And we would bring backstop with us to the event so that every guest would be able to leave with the first book as well as the second if they chose to do that. David, of course, would sign all of the extra stock, which would go back to the store. I think that was really about it. Did anyone else have anything that we had talked about? That might be it. Did you want to add anything, David?
Oh, maybe just 2 things. One, I'm very grateful for this. It was a fun process and a great idea. It is the centennial of the First World War now, and publishers love those things, but there's a lot of stuff coming out about the First World War, so that makes it timelier, and it is a hook. The other thing, which I didn't talk about last night, just to mention, is maybe obvious that the 2 lead characters, fictional characters, are white and black, and trying to capture that in early 20th century America. It's been difficult for me. It's always seemed to me that they couldn't really be natural best friends. That just didn't happen, and it would be awkward. So they sort of end up being pushed together, and have trouble with each other. And I find that an interesting dynamic to talk about and to have people try to think about, because to be honest, we do have a biracial president, but I don't know how integrated we are just yet.